Welcome to On Air with Kate Butler, where we are revealing life's best kept secrets. Today, I am here with Katie Jefcoat, yay! Who is, get ready for this, everyone, a happiness consultant. I mean, seriously, can you stand it? Katie fundamentally believes that we deserve to make time for our priorities. This is my kind of girl right here. She believes that we have control and choice. We can create and choose our priorities, and we can create it with intentional margins, which is a concept that Katie has created. And quite frankly, this is a lifestyle movement. And we are going to talk all about this today. This fascinating concept. I can't wait. So we are going to dive right in. But first, allow me to welcome in Katie Jefcoat. Welcome, Katie.
Thank you for having me. I'm super excited to be here. And you know, I love chatting.
I am so excited. Yes, I love chatting. I love chatting with you. I think that it's so, it's so cool. I actually had you come on and speak, and having you come on and speak again to a group of my clients. Obviously, you're a happiness consultant, so duh. And one of my clients literally put, as soon as your picture came up, she's like, there's high vibes all over this, right? Like that is what you exude, and it's just so cool. So I love chatting with you. So I want to dig right in, and I would love to know from you, have you had a game-changing moment in your life that you can share with us?
Yeah, well, I think if we really dig in, there's probably been a few, and one that may not be a specific moment, but something that has really been on my mind a lot is in my adolescence. And, as we go through these processes, we always go back. But this is the thing, I never felt like I belonged, which I know is shocking because how can you say that and be a happiness consultant? And if you ask the people in my sphere at the time, they would say I'm crazy and that I've completely reimagined my entire childhood. And what I know for sure is that there is some science around how we show up. And so I grew up in a super, super tiny town in Minnesota, 2006 people in the middle of a cornfield. And I didn't feel like I had a way out, but I knew in my gut that I didn't belong.
Yeah.
But as humans, what we know for sure is that we yearn to belong. And in fact, it's in our DNA. It's why we've survived and some of our ancestors hadn't, right? We are tribal creatures. Like we yearn to belong. It's in our DNA. And I was struggling with not having those relationships, those communities, those people where you felt like these were your people. And so that kind of trauma can be devastating. But for me, the craziest thing is that unbeknownst to me at the time, manufactured what the scientists and the experts now call synthetic happiness. It's where the glass is half full. So not until my 40s did I start to really understand the psychology around who I was or why I was the way that I was. So there's all of this scientific research. I'm not a scientist, but there's a ton of research out of Yale and the Harvard Business School and so many other places that talk about how synthetic happiness brings you the same amount of joy as organic happiness, like winning the lottery or getting your perfect parking spot when you're going to the store. So I synthetically was the glass is half full, just out of maybe a trauma response, or maybe just like, this is how I'm going to survive. It was my survival mechanism.
Absolutely.
And that was a big moment for me in those years of, this is how I'm going to get through it.
Wow. Okay. That is really fascinating. I haven't heard you put it quite like that before. Um, I mean, right, that all is game changing for the future and setting you up to what you would then go on to do, right? So tell me more about this like happiness consultant, and how you arrive to a place. Obviously, you are establishing this synthetic happiness as a survival mechanism, and then how did it's bridge the gap for me, right, between synthetic happiness and what you would describe today as your happiness.
Yeah. So, in this time period in this small town in Minnesota, there was also this time where I was trying to find my way out. And so I thought in my early years that being a lawyer would give me that freedom to have choice, to have a little bit of money, to be able to do something different than what I saw everyone else doing in this small town. And so it was the fight or flight, right? So I went to law school. I graduated from law school. I moved from that area in Minnesota to Washington, D.C., where I became a trial lawyer at a big law firm downtown and did that for a number of years and really felt accomplished but not necessarily happy. Like fulfilled, kind of,
Yep.
but there was something that just, it became too hard. It's like I had achieved being a lawyer, but I wasn't ready to give away every moment of my life for that career once I started having kids. And it seemed like it was really going to be a churn. And so that was another light bulb moment for me. Like, what do I do next? And it really ended in me retiring from the practice of law and becoming an entrepreneur and a mom that is now doing all of the things that are so incredible and that make me happy.
So it sounds to me like your priorities shifted and then you had to make the choice, right? Because it was something you enjoyed. It was a goal that you set and went after. It was a goal that you achieved. You felt fulfillment and accomplishment through achieving this goal. Yet you still then got to a point where you went, okay, I don't know if this is still making me happy. And a lot of times that does happen, right? When the things in our life shift and change as they're always changing. But if it shifts and changes enough and our priorities change to a certain degree, then all of a sudden the things that used to make us happy might no longer make us happy or make us fulfilled, right? Or to the level that was your requirement, right? Which is a neat thing when we start to understand our energetic minimums and maximums, right? So it's
Mhm.
like, at one point, probably when you were a child, like you kind of had more of a smaller, right? Like your maximum wasn't so high because it was like this synthetic happiness that you were creating, right? You were just trying to survive and get by. But then all of a sudden, as you found true happiness, all of a sudden you started to have a higher expectation of what that looked like. So just because you achieved this massive goal of becoming an attorney at a big huge law firm, it was like, okay, that was really great. Also, I may be open to the next great thing, which is so cool that you were actually able to recognize that. That's really, really neat. So everyone can learn so much from that, right? Because it's like we're always growing and we always get that choice for something that could bring us more joy. So as you start to prioritize, right, and you start to have
Mhm.
this choice of priority, this leads you to a place in your career where, I watched you build and create like this lifestyle movement, and you
Mhm.
created something called intentional margins. Can you tell me a little bit about what is this concept of intentional margins and how can I begin to apply it into my life today?
Perfect. So the concept of intentional margins is the idea that we can have harmony between our to dos and our priorities. What I was finding when I was churning, going through law school, becoming a lawyer, doing all of the things, is that I was getting all of the dopamine hits that come with the to do list. I was the hamster on the hamster wheel, literally running like a crazy person. And I think that a lot of us are like that. We have all of these things. We have all of these spinning plates, even as moms or business women or entrepreneurs, or, all of the things that we do, we're spinning all the plates. And if you take a deep breath, you are afraid that one of the plates is going to fall and then it comes crumbling down. And so we just keep going. We just keep going. And what I discovered along the way was that if I identified my priorities and I started to really put those before what I said yes to and what I said no to, I was able to find that margin and to feel fulfilled. I, think about random things, right? And I didn't want to get to the end of life and wonder if I was happy. I didn't want to get to the end of my week and wonder if I felt fulfilled. Like, what was it all for?
Yeah.
And so I decided to identify pockets of time and to identify what my priorities are and then to do them. So they look different for everyone because we all have different priorities. There's a million ways to do things. And I don't have a specific, if you make your husband a priority, your life is going to change, because maybe you don't want that, right? So, but you have to decide what it is for you. It could be knitting. It could be going for a walk. It could be meditating. It could be, spending time with your girlfriends or your husband or your children. There's a million things. But when you identify them and you start to live in those margins, it's really where all the juicy magic happens in our life. But we have to have that in the front of our mind, or we just walk around and we forget. It's so easy to forget about the things that matter most because we're so busy doing all the things.
Wow. That was a little bit of a mic drop there. So, yeah, because we are so focused, sometimes on the, the things that are just kind of, have like a sense of urgency around them, but it doesn't necessarily mean that's what's making us happy or that should be a priority. Right. So it's almost like that, being proactive about your day versus being reactive, right? Like
100%.
the control back. Yes. Okay. I love this. Go ahead.
Oh, I was just going to say, and your priorities don't have to be, they can change. They can change. Like maybe this week it's your business. You have something big going on and those are your priorities. And next week, maybe it's your kids or your family or your dog or whatever. Like that can happen. During COVID, one of my big priorities, I put it on the calendar, and I did this with my daughter, is we watched Gilmore Girls. There is nothing crazy imaginative about that, except I got to do it with my daughter and like Netflix and binge. And that was like our time. She was a preteen. She didn't really want to do a lot of the other things. And so we watched Gilmore Girls. It was our thing. Yeah. Now, that is not going to be a priority to everyone. And people are going to think that we wasted a ton of time watching TV, but we had connection and that was important. So you get to do what you want, what you feel like you can achieve.
Yes. And that brought you you'll look back and cherish those moments because you intentionally carved those out, where you could have been doing anything. It was like the feelings that were generated from that time and connection that you had with your daughter, right? I love this so much. So tell me, I would love to know, I'd love to ask this question because I feel like you are someone who, obviously you're a creator, right? Like you are a developer of things, and with that takes a certain level of investment of time, money, energy, all of these different things. What is the one investment that you have made in yourself that supersedes all of the others?
I think it might have been law school, and which is a little interesting because I don't do it now. So you think, how could that possibly be something that you care about? The student loans alone make you want to just like shrivel up a little bit. But I think I proved to myself that I can do anything that I put my mind to. And it was the first big successful mission that I was like, I'm doing this and I'm telling everyone that I'm doing this, and there is no room to fail. And what that did for me is it reminded me and it gave me proof that if I bet on myself, it's the safest bet I'll ever have. I knew that which is why I felt confident going to law school, but it gave me this proof that is, the diploma still hangs in my office today. It's like the proof, right? That I could do this. So I think that might be it.
What?
I think that might be it.
That is totally it. I love it. And we can have many, right? But like and I love that you honor what shows up. And like that was perfect for this moment in this conversation, right? Like we get to do hard things. What a privilege it is that we have the ability to face difficult things in our life and that we have the ability to get through them and to do them effectively, right? And that you are the safest bet you'll ever make. I love all of what you just said. So can you share with me what is the best kept secret that you have learned along the way?
Well, it's not my best kept secret because I try to tell people this all the time. And some people will take it and run with it. And some people think that I'm totally crazy. But it's this concept: randomness causes overwhelm. Whether it's the way that your really messy office, whether your calendar is a mess, whether it's the to-do list, like if you're randomly not, reactively trying to like do all the things, that's what causes overwhelm. You can have the same to-do list, but if you know how it's going to get done, you're not as overwhelmed. Randomness causes overwhelm. Reduce randomness, reduce overwhelm.
Wow. Okay. That is so true because if you think about it, it's like the unexpected, right? Is what causes you to get into that reactive mode that also obviously can relate, can translate into that overwhelm, but the unexpectedness is also that random factor or energy that you're talking about. So it might be messy, but it might be something unexpected and random that comes into the day as well. So I love everything else you're talking about here in the conversation is like the really effective ways to manage that, right? Take control back, make that choice. I love that. So tell me, I would love for you to kind of bring this all together for us. I want to know how I can get more into your world. How do I learn more about intentional margins? I want to know how I can really start applying these to my life. So what are you most excited about right now? And like, where can we find out more about you?
So, I work as a happiness consultant inside like organizations and businesses. And really, what I do is develop personal growth curriculum. It's this idea that workplaces are now starting to have consultants and employees that really focus on health and well-being for their companies, for their teams, their employees, and they're doing this because they know that happiness,
Yeah.
happier people are one, more productive, and two, their employee retention is skyrocketing because they're not leaving, because they feel like they belong and they're happy. And I think that we're really starting to see a shift in how that is done. And it's fascinating. And it's just, really just going with the times of the science around happiness. And I love to be in organizations, but not every organization is doing this right now. They're just starting to pull people like me in. So I also have a membership for individuals. And in that membership, we do exactly the same things that we do with corporations in a more broad spectrum. So we discuss more things, we have more interaction, and we do master classes with experts, with me, with other people on all of the things around happiness and intentional margins, because we need tools. We can't just listen to a podcast and think that we've got it all figured out. It's like yoga, right? It's like a practice. You get better if you keep doing it. And that's the same with happiness, with mindset, with so many things. So this membership just gives you that starting off point. And it's, it really is just all the magic. It's your tribe, it's your people. And when you jump in, you feel it. And that magic is really fun.
I love that. I love that. So this is a community of people that are all focused on making themselves better, connecting with other like-minded, happy people, figuring out the best ways that they can implement intentional margins into their life and just truly live a happier life, right? So where can we find this? Is there a website? Is there a page that we can go to? Tell us more about where we can find this amazing community.
Yeah, so you can find everything on my website at katiejefcoat.com or on my social media at Katie Jefcoat. But this is the deal. The membership is only open a couple times a year. So we do that for a couple of reasons. But if you can imagine like sitting at a big farm table at a coffee shop, talking with like your best girlfriends about all the things that us girls talk about, right? And some stranger comes up next to you and is like, hey, want to be friends? Can I hang out? You might be like, okay, but it gets awkward. And when more people start doing that, you're like feeling like you have whiplash, like what happened? So we don't do that. So everything happens in a Facebook group, and we don't let people in when it's not the right time, because we want to say, hey, come join us, see all this magic. You're going to love it. Let's reintroduce everyone. Let's get to know everyone. Let's be in this together, because that is where the magic happens. And we can't do that if people are in and out. So we're opening on May 11th for about a week, and then we'll close again for a significant amount of time, probably 6 months, maybe at the end of the year. We'll see. But it's really community driven and community led. And part of the membership goes to our giving celebrations that we do every month. So we give to charities that matter to our community. Every single month, you get to nominate one. Everybody votes. It's super fun. And it's a really fun way to continue to build community and belonging. And there's some structure and there's some just pure magic that you can't make up. You can't do it if you try.
I love that. So you keep saying this pure magic, and I feel like you are pure magic. It's so fun to connect with you. I am so grateful that you were able to come and, first of all, teach us about intentional margins, teach us more about, right, like these interesting ways to look at our everyday choices, right? Where we get to really take more control back of our day. And in essence, we take more control back of our happiness, right? Which is what I feel like what I'm hearing from you really is that's what's at the core of all of this. So you've also curated this amazing community where people can come in, they can have access to all of these amazing people and tools and connections and all of this, right, to help support them on their happiness journey, which is like the coolest thing ever. So Katie, thank you so much for sharing all of this with us. Thank you so much for being here today. Everyone, definitely check out this community. It is amazing. The coziest little corner on Facebook. So thank you, Katie, for being here. We appreciate you so much. Thank you everyone so much for listening today as Katie Jefcoat is revealing brilliant, drop the mic best kept secrets. I loved everything that you shared today. And until next time, have a happy and magical day. Bye, everyone. Thank you so much for listening today. I would love to connect with you on social, and you can find me on Instagram and Facebook under Kate Butler Books. If you're interested in accessing some life-changing tools and techniques, you can grab those right off of the homepage of my website for free, and that is katebutlerbooks.com. And you can always check back here to download new episodes from our podcast right here where you listen today. Until next time, thank you for making this world a better place just by being you.